Hi, I'm Britt.
And my name is Alissa.
And this is SkeleTales.
And this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
So I'm not sure if this is grandma related, but do you remember last episode we're talking about haunted cemeteries, and I told you about that pence that I may have permanently borrowed from a grave in London?
Yes.
And that I was probably cursed?
Yes.
Well, we had been recording. It was pretty late at night. So as soon as we got finished, I went straight to bed. As soon as I lay down, I started getting the spins. And I thought maybe it was the one glass of wine that I'd had, but I was like, that doesn't make sense. I can handle my one glass of wine. And then I started feeling super queasy and nauseous. And I was like, is this food poisoning? Or was it the British grandma from ye old England who has come back for vengeance because I took her pence?
That for sure. You reminded her. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot I was supposed to haunt the fuck out of that chick from
I know,
that American chick.
Me bringing it up, and she was like stirred up, and I was like, oh yeah, fuck her.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna curse the shit out of her right now.
Definitely the haunted grandma. I think that's solved.
It was rough. I spent the whole day in bed. I couldn't even get up.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And I really did think, I was like, I think I was cursed. That was I mean, it couldn't have been Marjorie from the 1700s. Her story's been told 100 times. It had to have been the London grandma.
Oh, for sure. Did you find the pence? I thought you were going to tell me that you woke up and it was on my pillow.
It was, we're talking 20 years ago. That pence is long gone. Oh, wouldn't that be fucking crazy though? I like wake up in a cold sweat and there's the pence.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't see pences much.
Britt, do we just talk about grave robbing and curses as a result of grave robbing?
Only part of the time. We tell true tales of the strange, paranormal, and unusual.
We sure do. So I have stumbled onto this phenomenon on TikTok that occurs, that I've brought it up before. I'm very fascinated by this whole glitch in the matrix idea.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And TikTok is a very interesting place for this because I think that these things happen to people regularly or have happened through the ages regularly, but we didn't have phones and just access where people want to see mundane shit that happens to people during the day. Like Instagram was all super like curated. Like I feel like TikTok is this phenomenon of just recording the mundane and making a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And maybe it might blow up,
true.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
So I have stumbled into this wonderful TikTok hole or thread of people unpacking their boxes. They're on a move, just like you just moved, and being like, okay, I moved. I had this one antique mug that I picked up at a bazaar in Hungary. Wait, is that a word?
Hungary.
Is that a place?
You were trying to say Hungary and Hungarian at the same time.
I was.
That mug is so cute.
It's so rare. Oh, wait, this is the mug I was talking about. This is the one that I didn't let you drink from. This is for my fancy guests.
You hid it from me.
I hid them away when you were here, but then I told you about them, how awesome they were. Maybe next time I'll let you see them or drink from them. It's a whole set.
Maybe I get to use it.
If it was from Hungary, even more rare, right?
Yeah. Hungary, Indiana.
Yeah, so that antique mall in Hungary in Indiana. So anyway, they pack it up. Okay. They get to their place of destination, their new house. They're unpacking. They unpack their mug from Hungary. They're Hungarian. And they put it away. And then they keep unpacking. And then a box later, they unpack their mug from Hungary. And they're like, well, that's weird. I thought I just unpacked that. Whatever. I guess false memory. I'll go put this away. Open up the cupboard. Wait, what the fuck? My mug, my one-of-a-kind mug from Hungary is already in the cupboard. And
There's two of them?
And now there's two. And you put one next to it. Okay. Okay. So that might be weird. Maybe I did buy a set and I don't remember. Maybe I just, it was a pair. Okay. Fine.
Sure.
Nope. that doesn't explain the third one I just unpacked from my freaking box. Like, what is happening?
What?
And then another one that I saw was the same thing. Two of them have been mugs. I don't know. But anyway, one was a Steven Universe. It was some cartoon mug that they got on vacation, like a souvenir mug in Florida. Unpacked it. Again, where did this second Steven Universe, like one-off mug come from? Keeps unpacking. Has this little turtle-shaped ring holder like that. They did get at an antique mall or something.
Yeah.
Like I very explicitly remember buying this thing. I was like, oh, this will be great for my rings. I had like a tortoise. No, not another. I can't think of any animal other than turtle right now. Squirrel. Okay, good. Thank God. A squirrel vase in the other hand. Very specifically remember like walking out to the checkout from this like antique mall. And it may have been in Hungary, Indiana, honestly.
I mean.
Okay.
Known for antiques.
Puts it down, keeps unpacking. What the fuck does she find? Turtle bowl. This one, though. She's like, this one. What the fuck? You could see on the first one I placed down that there's like some residue from the sticker, like the thrift store sticker there that I tried to get off. And you can see I didn't even get it fully off. This one has the residue. It's like the state it was in before I cleaned it. It was like the original state because there is sticker residue in like the exact same place. She's like, what is happening? So this is just like one of a few like of these duplication phenomena where people are like, how did I get this? And then she's like, there are some things missing too. And some of the comments were like, I bet there's someone, you in another timeline, who's like, where the fuck did my Steven Universe mug go? Hey, what happened to my little turtle bowl for my rings or whatever?
Oh, I love that idea. I'm missing my SkeleTales t-shirt, and I bet it's a glitch.
What?
Not the fact that I accidentally left it in Denver.
Oh, well, you just made someone in Denver very happy that they found that very rare, awesome shirt. Antique.
2 years old.
But yeah, so I'm fascinated by this. And I'm like, how often did this happen before we, had phones at our fingertip? Granted, someone could be making this stuff up.
The fact that it's happening to several people, though, that's what makes it eerie and cool at the same time. Losing something, that's not a big deal. That happens every single day. But finding extra things, that never happens.
That doesn't happen. I am in love with it. I love it, love it, love it. And so I will be telling a story of a glitch in a matrix. Not the same story about just a duplicate, but I just like those, like, how did this happen? But if you found your coin, what if you found 2 shillings? You're like, shit, I didn't remember robbing 2 graves that day.
I might have. I was really dumb.
Dude.
Real dumb.
You were just poor.
Pens is gonna even buy anything. I don't know. I was just being dumb. I was excited.
Is it in? I don't want to butcher it. Is it Jewish religions? One puts a rock on the tombstone. Some people put pennies. Like it's rocks. Jewish is putting the rocks, but I don't know. I actually should probably look up what pennies on a grave is. Let's look that up right now, just because coins on a grave, I suppose. What is the meaning? We should know this as experts in the paranormal death arena.
Yeah, let's put it in the bank of knowledge.
Okay, so getting to the bottom of why was there just a penny laying on a grave, just begging to be stolen? Apparently, Britt. Just saying, Britt.
Because it's so valuable.
Okay, so I found on montana.gov, I don't know why it's telling us there, but anyway, a penny means you visited. A nickel means you and the deceased veteran trained at boot camp together. A dime means you and the deceased veteran served together in some capacity. A quarter is very significant because it means that you were there when that veteran died. This must be very specific to a military.
Very Americanized. Okay, I think I've solved it. So, the Greek myth of, I'm going to butcher the name, Charon, though, the boatman who ferries souls across the river. You pay the coins to
cross the river
to the afterlife. So maybe I I took their fare, their
Fun.
boat fare.
So they just had to swim.
Yeah.
Evil Britt.
I know.
It says that it shows that you visited, and then it also says that in England they collect the coins and then use that to upkeep the memorials.
Oh, okay. So other people are taking it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I did.
That's what you took away from that? That you just took away the fact that you like, at least it's not cursed. I mean, I stole from this cemetery fund, but
what are they going to build with a pence? Plant a flower, maybe? I don't know.
Stop me if I've already told this. There is a grave in New England somewhere. Bathsheba is the name of this woman.
Yes.
Who, okay.
Did tell this story. And this is what I was worried about, because what you said, the person took the coins off this grave and then they started having super haunted, terrifying experiences after that. And then they returned the coins and the hauntings went away.
Oh, I don't know that for sure. They were planning on it, but I don't know, because they were desperate at that point. They were like, get these out of here. I can't have these anymore. The haunted items. I think things can be good haunted or bad haunted.
For sure.
Maybe you were meant to take that to protect you on your journey, on your rickshaw journey in India. Perhaps
I was protected. There was one point in our trip to India where we were going across the whole country, and we were going through a really rough area of India, and I was driving this tiny rickshaw with 3 men, and it's hours and hours of driving. And at some point, somebody leans over and they were like, "Britt, did you see those guys trying to stop us?" And I was like, "No." And they were like, "Yeah, they had guns and they were waving for us to stop." And I was like, "Really?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then you just blew past them. You kept going. And I was like, I did not see them.
Oh my gosh.
But what it would have happened if we had stopped? I don't know.
That's terrifying. I just pictured you like playing with the coin and like holding in your eyeball at those moments. You're just playing with it or like flipping it. Like it's just like keeping you busy as you drive, keeping it. I'm like, huh? What bandits on the side of the road trying to carjack us? Wow. That's possible. Okay.
Protector. Okay. It protected me. Solved. All right. So you got a glitchy story. Will you tell it to me?
I will. Okay. So in searching for another duplication story, I stumbled upon this story online, and it goes, my husband and I live in a small work-in-progress cabin in the woods on an acreage in Atlantic Canada with 2 parrots, a rabbit, a senior citizen cat, and 2 absolutely rambunctious dogs.
This is my soul person here, I think.
My husband just can't say no to something fluffy that is in need of a home. Cleaning up after this zoo is quite the daily effort. As I was going about my chores today, I decided to toss the dogs outside for a while so I could suck up the previous day's layer of dog fluff without them declaring war on our vacuum machine, as their hatred for the vacuum is quite passionate. Once the dogs were outside and merrily jumping around in the mud puddles, I got to work on the floors. I did a really thorough vacuum job today, even getting on my hands and knees to suck up the fluffies that were nesting underneath the tables and furniture. After I wrapped up the chores, I went to go retrieve the dogs. The dog run is accessible by a doggy door that is off of a room that is completely separate from the room I was cleaning. As I already mentioned, the cabin is a work in progress and entirely unfinished, and the room with the doggy door is the newest room to be added onto the build and is even more unfinished than the rest. I entered into this room and shut and latched the door behind me, as I knew the soggy dog, they're Canadian, shit. Oh.
The saggy dog.
As I knew that the soggy dog stampede was going to be fierce. I planned on letting the pooches dry off in that separate room while I went to town to run a couple errands. I opened the doggy door and the 2 canines bounded into the room and began to shake and pounce and play with all their dogly enthusiasm. They were soaked and muddy and seemingly more than content to hang out in this room. So I undid the latch on the door that led to the main room and carefully opened it a crack, just enough to squeeze my body through so that the dogs could not follow after me. I closed the door behind me and latched it shut, picked up the water ball, and reached for some toys so that I could toss them into the side room to keep the dogs entertained while I was gone. As soon as I entered the main room and looked down, however, I absolutely froze. There were fresh, muddy paw prints on the floor that I had just cleaned. I could still hear the dogs bouncing around on the other side of the door in the room I had locked them into. They did not follow me. And yet here I was looking at fresh, muddy paw prints that were not here a moment ago. Perhaps there was mud on the bottom of my flip-flops, and I made the prints myself. I lifted my feet one at a time, and the bottoms of my flip-flops were totally clear. The prints were not from me. Then I lifted my gaze and was horrified to see that the paw prints continued all down the length of the room from the kitchen to the front door of the cabin, where they stopped suddenly, as though a muddy dog had taken a single run through the length of the room and then completely vanished. The prints only went in one direction. There were no smudges or mud. There were no smudges of mud or backwards prints to indicate a muddy dog changing direction in any way. Just a straight line of fresh, wet, muddy prints, and then nothing. They weren't there moments before. My dogs had not entered the room and were still locked up in another room. There were no other creatures in this room and no possible entrances for rogue invaders. I have no explanation. I don't understand. I feel like I'm either losing my mind entirely or else in an alternate timeline, one of the dogs slips past me into the cleaned room and runs down the floor. And somehow the timelines blend together for a moment, just long enough for alternate dimension dog to leave the muddy paw prints and then vanish back into his own timeline.
Whoa. I love it. I love it.
I feel very bad for them having to clean again.
Oh,
I
God,
hate it.
I know. Ghost dog?
I know. I feel like I've alternate dimension children sometimes, but I think it's just my genuine children making messes. More like the messes of 40 children from 40 different timelines. Yes. Ghost dog?
That is
maybe.
Baffling.
Some of the people who comment on it was like, I think this is a sign that you need a new dog or you're going to have a dog come into your life soon or something. People were like.
Didn't she say she had 3 dogs?
I think she said she had 2 already.
2. Oh,
possibly.
okay.
I don't know. Maybe 3 parrots. There was a menagerie. They definitely have a menagerie.
When you're telling it, I was like, some other creature, maybe not a dog, something slipped in. But then the fact that the prints totally vanish at the other side of the room and there's no they went through the other door. Like, where did it go?
It doesn't sound like there's another door into the room. Like the only way into this room was that front door or the ones where the dogs are locked up
already
in now.
Locked. Yeah.
Right? And the dog,
I think so.
I would see them running into the room, right? Like maybe the dog ran in and then back out, but there's no other door.
There's no way. Oh, that's very cool. I love it.
Speaking on menageries, our SkeleTales podcast page, I think, is following some Texas rat rescue page. Did you follow them?
You're welcome. Yes, that was. No, that happened. That happened when it was one of those times where they switched me to SkeleTales, and I didn't realize that I was on SkeleTales. So yeah, we follow them. It's fine. I'm gonna keep it.
Okay, well, there was a post that came up and was like, abandoned rats down in Austin or something. I had no idea what I was reading. I was like, what is this? And I was like, did Britt just ditch her rats on the side of the road in Austin? And now there's a whole rescue. I had no idea that sort of thing even existed, a rat rescue.
Well, it's better to get them from there than the pet store. They're pretty diseased at the pet store.
Okay. I take your word for it. There's so many comments.
They mostly have rats at pet stores to feed to the snakes. That's their main purpose of being at the pet store is snake food. Yeah. And my friend was feeling really sad that these amazing rats were going to be food. And so she bought a couple to bring home as pets and ended up getting ringworm from her newly purchased feed rats.
That's real gross. We're gonna keep that in.
That's why you don't
have
get them
pets
from the pet
as
store.
a rat as a pet.
No,
That's
lies.
why you
No,
don't
that's
keep
not
rats
what
as pets.
No, stop. That's
Moral
why
of the story.
you rescue a rat from a clean home. Don't rescue rats from trash cans or inside walls.
Can your snake get ringworm? And isn't a ringworm almost like a tiny
snakes.
little snake? You get a snake and a snake. Although ringworm is not, it's fungus. I know this, but okay. Like if it was something else like roundworm, like little snakes inside a snake.
I don't know about roundworms. I don't know much about diseases, but I do know a little bit about rats.
Why am I not surprised that they're not taking the best care of rats that are meant to be fed to other animals? I mean,
yeah.
Our pond is all stocked with feeder fish. We have done the rescue route of that.
Yes.
And
they're loving it. They're living their best life.
They're living a life.
Until the birds
for
get
sure.
them.
I think it's the best. It's a better life than being directly fed to a bigger fish, I think. Yeah. I support saving
rescue
fish from the pet store. Okay.
Yes. I just watched a whole YouTube series about a man who saved a lobster from a lobster tank at the grocery store.
I think
He made a whole video, Leon the lobster, and then people were like so pumped about it, they started sending him money for Leon, and so he's like, I bought some coral for the tank, and then he got a bigger tank, and this like...
Odin recently asked me if that was allowed, if that was legal. I'm like, can you keep the lobster that you buy at the grocery store? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. And then also, if you ever ask me and I say, oh my God, I'm so busy. It's such bullshit because I've watched this Leon the Lobster YouTube. I'm pretty sure I've seen the most random. It's that I have attention issues and I get sucked in real easy.
I get sucked in easy too.
Such important things. What is Leon up to today? Got to check in with Leon the lobster.
Oh, he's
my Lord.
Eating that oyster.
Okay,
all right.
Speaking of important things.
Yes.
Hey, do you have a story to tell today, Britt?
I have 6 stories, but 6 is too many to tell on one episode. So I've decided I'm going to roll a dice to determine which stories I'm going to tell.
Oh.
I'm going to get my dice ready to determine.
What are you up to? Britt's holding her phone like an inch from her face right now. I'm not sure.
Did you hear it?
No.
Okay.
Wait, do it again.
Listen, you were talking.
Well, because I did. You didn't say shut the fuck up, which you need to.
Okay, shut the fuck up. I'm going to roll a dice. All right. The dice. I'm reading story number 3. You ready? This is a near-death experience story. So hold on to your panties.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. This is from Anonymous. They say, I was 14 and we were swimming out in the ocean. Suddenly, the waves started coming in huge and fast. Everyone was trying to swim in, and I noticed one of the little girls in front of me was being dragged towards the reef in a rip and was going under with each wave. So while trying not to go under myself, as I'm a terrible swimmer, I got to the girl and I tried to calm her down and tow her to shore, but she was full of panic and trying to climb on top of me. I was yelling at the shore for help, and I saw the SAS. I don't know what that stands for. Do you?
Shore ambulance swimmers.
Seashore assistance swimmers. And
yes.
that they were heading into the water towards us. With the waves and the rip and her panicking, all I could do was try to hold her above water until one of them got to us. This is where it got weird. I remember a lot of pain. I remember being underwater, holding the girl up, and all I could think about was holding her up through the crashing waves till they got to us. Then suddenly, I was above it all. I couldn't figure out if I was still in the water or what had happened to the little girl. I had to really try and focus to see what was going on below me. I saw two huge men swimming into shore with two kids. I remember feeling scared and relieved that someone had got the girl. The next thing I remember was people yelling, "She's not breathing!" and "She's dead!" Then I saw one of the SAS pounding on my chest. I felt it. I was watching it like it wasn't me, but it felt like a knife into my heart every time he pushed on my chest. I remember thinking, why are they doing that? I'm fine. And then, boom, I was back on the beach in a lot of pain, choking out half the ocean of water with people freaking out all around me. I copped 2 broken ribs from the huge SAS guy, but the little girl made it.
I have goosebumps from that one. That was great.
It's
well
so
written. I could
good.
picture that whole thing. Oh my
God,
gosh. I was with her
there.
in the sky. Yes, looking at her.
I've been holding on to that story for you because I know you love a good NDE.
Oh my God. I live for death experiences. And I feel like you are maybe a little attracted to those drowning ones because of your brush with death as a youngster there too. It's terrifying. The ocean is terrifying, man. Like, and the riptides and all that, like,
it's no joke.
It is not. Ooh, I love that. I wasn't sure if even the little girl existed. I was kind of waiting to see how it was all going to pan out.
They both survived.
Speaking of the UK and stolen coins. No, I have no idea if it's about stolen coins. But I do believe our friend of the podcast, ThenDriver, wrote in again with another submission.
She's got the best stories.
Yes. And it's titled ThenDriver's Double Barrel Submission.
Ooh, 2 stories?
Is that what that means? I think so. Or is it about a shotgun? I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? Okay. So it says, "Hiya, been ages since I submitted a story, and oh boy, have I one for you. At work, we watch people through CCTV and have seen some pretty crazy stuff, including some creepy things. We have heard people talking when no one is there, watched the basement door lock on its own, and have even seen a black figure step by a doorway. However, one particular evening, I was working alone for the first time. Naturally, I'm terrified of the basement. So when I hear we have a basement booking, I'm scared. Do we know what ThenDriver does?"
I don't think so. I don't remember. I remember she was on maternity leave when she had the little girl ghost, but I don't know what she was on leave from.
I don't know. We'll have to ThenDriver, you got to tell us what you're doing.
A booking in the evening. Okay.
A booking in the basement in the evening.
Ooh, I'm curious now.
Okay. So she says, "I get one of the group in and make conversation while the rest of the group show up. They take about 5 minutes to show up. But the problem is, I count an extra person in their booking, including the lady who shut up early and went to the bathroom, and asked who would be covering the cost of the extra person. They were confused. They booked 4 people, and 4 people showed up. I told them their other team member, Sally, had also showed up. Turns out, Sally died a few days after it was booked. So they amended their booking so it was only for 4 people. I just got them in the room and went back on our CCTV. The footage when Sally showed up was blank."
Oh my God, my whole body is covered in goosebumps. That's amazing. Oh my God. What does the group do? The group was just were their eyes just huge saucers, and they were like, "Do we continue with whatever thing we're doing in the basement? Holy shit!"
What are they doing in the basement? I have questions, but yeah, right.
Okay, these are some things that I've been brainstorming: escape rooms, winery, maybe if it's some kind of wine tour.
Okay.
Birthday party in the basement? I have no idea.
I'm going to be with you on the escape room. I feel like maybe an escape room sort of something.
Because there would be a lot of cameras around for the escape room, right?
I've seen a couple videos with people like really freaking out in escape rooms, and it's pretty funny. So someone's filming that, right? Okay. So she goes on to say, I also have another story from my dad. As you know from one of my previous submissions, my dad worked in a mental health facility. One shift, he was working in the main room and had taken a nap. You know, those dreams where you're not truly asleep and can see what's going on around you. He had one of those. One of the patients got loose and saw him taking a nap, but was drawn away by something in another room. But the strings on my dad's waist kept tugging him back in, and a coworker woke him up. Turns out that a patient did escape and managed to enter the staff room, unsure how, and was watching him for a few seconds before the patient left and had to be chased down by security. That dad then figured it was better to sleep in his car. So that was a true thing where he's like, oh, this is just one of those weird dreams where like I'm being messed with or whatever.
He like did not even bother to wake all the way up for the patient watching him.
Oh boy.
Oh, he had felt his thing being tugged. I wonder if the patient took his like key card or whatever.
I think it was his coworker woke him up. I sleep with my eyes open, and so maybe ThenDriver's dad has a little bit of that too, because I will integrate things in the room into my dream.
You sleep with your eyes open? That's terrifying.
Really bad. It makes for a real dry eyeball, I'll tell you that. Milo also sleeps with his eyes open a wee bit, and it is not so cute, freaky. And it is pretty freaky. Yeah, I've never told you that. I thought you knew that. Apparently I grind my teeth too. No. Everyone was trying to tell me I grind my teeth the other night when we went camping. So I'm like, oh, great. That has nothing to do with this. ThenDriver, I want to know for sure what you do, because now I'm very curious.
Yes, please. Now you have to write us again because we need to know what you do. That story was deliciously haunted.
Yes.
What a treat. Okay. Are you ready for me to roll the dice again to see what story goes next? All right.
Okay, wait. What are we going to... You got to tell me to shut the fuck up.
Alissa, shut the fuck up. I'm going to roll the dice. All right. I am going to read you a story about a church ghost.
Ooh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hopefully I didn't give too much away by telling you that. All right. Years ago, I was a cantor for the early morning mass at St. James Cathedral. What's a cantor? Do you know
it's
that?
It's a singer. And they're like, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. And then they raise their hands and they get everyone else to do it too. Do it with me. Hallelujah. Oh. So they do that. My friend Amy, hi Amy, if you listen. Amy was a cantor at our church, and they just do all this singing.
You have set the mood. I love this. Beautiful. My place was in the front of the church in the sanctuary, and I worked with Howard, the organist, who at the time was always in the organ loft in the back of the church. One 8 a.m. mass, I noticed that a tall, formally dressed older man was in the organ loft standing next to Howard. And the organ. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Standing next to the organ. He had on a brown suit and a lovely matching vest, a gold chain stretched across it, which I assumed was for a watch, and a white shirt, and wore a white shirt. I remember wondering who he was and where he got those old clothes. The next time I looked, he was gone. After the service, I asked Howard who had been in the loft with him, but he said that there was no one up there with him. He asked me to describe the man that I saw, and then told me, oh, yes, that's Dr. Palmer. He died on the organ bench on Palm Sunday in 1927. The organist said he was aware of Dr. Palmer's presence and had seen him too when he practiced in the cathedral late at night when it was all locked up. There's never any threatening feeling. Apparently, Dr. Palmer just checks in to make sure the standard of music at St. James has maintained its high standard. And that was sent in by N.K. Holcomb.
Dr. Palmer dying on Palm Sunday on the organ bench.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
So I guess he used to be the organist, but I was like, I
think so.
Pictured a dramatic collapse upon the organ bench.
I think that music, because the music is so emotional and electric and brings a lot of feelings. I wonder if that's why a lot of spirits are drawn to like the music side of things with the church, or I don't know. I'd never thought about it till just now.
Yeah, it's all waves, electromagnetic waves, sound waves. They all just that ride the waves and
bringing them back.
Yeah.
Hey, brah.
I want to know what song he died playing. Was he like really into it? You know what? Palm Sunday. There's this one song that I always really liked that the Cantors sang, and it was like, "You can't dance with the devil on your back" or something. I hope it was that one.
Oh, that's not what you said a cantor sounds like. It does like a
I can't remember
or something.
It was like my favorite song that I can't remember it now. It's been years since I've been to church. So
do I have time to do just one more? Can I squeeze one more in? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Random one. Alissa, shut the fuck up right now already.
I can't even hear this when you play it. I just want to let you know that, but I will shut the fuck up.
Hopefully the dice sound will come through.
It does. It records on your end.
Oh, you're going to like this one. You're going to like this one.
Okay.
The dice rolled for a UFO story.
Yes.
Okay. So this is from E. Smith, and he says that this story was told to him by the witness as part of an investigation into MUFON. MUFON. So, but this is a case that was conducted in the summer of 2019, and he's, telling what the witness told him.
Okay. MUFON. You don't want to look that up, Navy? What is that?
All right, fine.
Come on.
I'll look at that.
You can't just throw out an acronym like that.
Oh, the Mutual UFO Network.
Oh,
snap.
Mutual UFO Network.
It's a nonprofit organization.
Oh, okay.
Nonprofit organization composed of civilian volunteers who study reported UFO sightings.
Oh.
It is one of the oldest and largest organizations of its kind, claiming more than 4,000 members worldwide, with chapters and representatives in more than 43 countries and all 50 states. Oh, I'm glad I looked that up, actually. That's very informative.
Yeah, I had no idea. I've never heard of that. Very informative. Right. Okay.
Mutual UFO Network case. Here we go. In the summer of 1969, David Sears, a thoughtful young man from New York City, had decided to spend the weekend on Block Island, a scenic teardrop of sandy cliffs and grasslands off Rhode Island's southern coast. David was eager to return to the island he had visited when he was younger. He had a friend who had planned to join him, but the friend had backed out at the last minute. David was impatient and decided to spend the night on the island alone, making plans to meet his friend at the ferry in New Shoreham the following morning. David was determined to camp on Block Island's rugged southern coast. Block Island's towering Mohegan Bluffs are on the southern edge of the island and get their name from a terrible battle where the island's Niantic people drove hundreds of invading Mohegans to their deaths in the mid-16th century. Have you heard about this?
I know those are the tribes of the area just from living in the New England,
Yeah,
Mohegans and Niantics, but I have not heard of that battle or Block Island. I don't know where that is. Or Hampshire or whatever. I don't know. He said that it's from New York City, so I'm assuming... Oh, Rhode Island. Is that what they said? Rhode Island.
Yeah, this is all in Rhode Island. The bluffs and the rocky beach below are about a mile walk from the southeastern corner of the island, home to the famous Southeast Light. And the huge...
the Southeast Light. I've never heard of that.
What is that?
No, I don't know. That's not that famous.
I was like, you have knowledge.
I've not heard of that.
And the huge descending wooden stairs featured on every tourist postcard of the island, of Rhode Island. Okay. David was looking to make camp at the top of the bluffs when he came upon a weather-beaten wooden lean-to. Looking to him like an old Boy Scout's tent, half sunken into the cliffside, a little more than halfway up. It was 9 or 10 feet long and barely 5 feet tall. David noticed that the wooden post facing the cliff was inscribed with an indecipherable writing that reminded him of Sanskrit or the Far Eastern script. Although now he cannot recall what it looked like, he distinctly remembers the words were well carved, the work of a skilled hand. It drew dark. Nope, it grew dark. The tide came in and brought a thick fog with it. As he settled in amongst the growing fog and the sounds of the waves crashing on the beach far below, he began to hear strange murmurings in the wind. At first he chalked it up to anxiety, and to settle his nerves he tried to read. This being 1969, and David being a sensitive young artist, he tucked into his copy of a book by Jack Kerouac, but the author's tales of being a forest ranger in the Pacific Northwest and encountering all kinds of strange happenings in those dark woods did little to snuff David's growing fear. He put the book down, and that's when he began hearing the voices. David couldn't discern at first if he was hearing the voices of multiple people, a ghostly conversation, or one singular disembodied voice. The words he heard were not recognizable, but at the same time they weren't clearly of another language. He cannot recall where this thought came from, but he had the distinct feeling that the voice or voices were from another time. To this day, he does not know how or why he felt that, but the impression that what he was hearing was from a world other than our own was undeniable. He tried to parse out the conversation, or failing that, individual words, but he found it to be impossible. The language was too strange, the whispered voices too ephemeral. He heard a loud crash against the rocks below him, as if a huge stone had been smashed against the rocks. David scurried out of the tent and tried to call out to whoever or whatever was below him, but it was too dark. He could discern nothing through the black fog. Terrified, he began scrambling up the wet clay of the cliff face and onto the rubbery green flora that covered the tops of the bluff. He paused to catch his breath and was immediately bathed in a cone of blinding white light from above. The light obliterated the fog that had surrounded him, and peering up through his fingers to make sense of what was happening, he saw a large, dark wing gliding 12 feet over his head, inexplicably between him and wherever the light source was. In those frozen seconds, his mind raced. Was it a bird? Could it see him? Was it coming for him? And then he ran. He found his way through the darkness, scrub, and vines to the road and waited for what seemed like eternity. He saw headlights in a car driven by a few year-round Block Islanders. Local Islanders. And they stopped and he hopped in. When he told them what had just happened to him, they were astonished, but not by his story. "Look around," they said. "These houses are all empty. No one lives on this part of the island." "It's haunted," said the other. "Why were you out there?" In the years that passed, whenever David thought about the incident on Block Island, he thought about Native American myths of the Thunderbird, and he thought of poltergeists, ghosts, and hauntings. More recently, when telling one of his grandchildren the story, they responded that it sounded more like a UFO encounter, a dark black-winged shape that slowly glides over the witness, and he is more inclined to think of it now in those terms. A few years after the sighting, David returned to the island and walked west along the beach at the Mohegan Bluffs, out to Black Rock Point, hoping to find that lean-to and identify in daylight where he had tried to camp. As he rounded the rocks at Black Rock Point, he observed an elderly couple sitting on a driftwood log. He said hello to them, but they said nothing and just looked serenely towards the Atlantic Ocean and the horizon beyond. He didn't see the lean-to, but he observed some wooden debris that he thought might be its remains. He walked back up east the beach and encountered some local beach walkers, and he mentioned the old silent couple he had just seen, and they said, "Ah," said the local man, "you saw them too, huh?" Now, E. Smith has a blog called strangeobserver.com, which I'm going to plug here. And he's got a couple of other stories that he's shared there. And he gave permission to share this story as well. But that is the UFO / possible ghost story of Black Rock Point.
Black Rock Point on Block Island.
Yes.
Okay. Was there the famous light? Was that where he was camping? The East Light or whatever?
The bluffs and the rocky beach below are about a mile walk from the corner of the island.
Where the famous
home,
thing
here it is, home to the famous Southeast Light and its huge descending wood stairs.
Okay.
It sounds like a lighthouse, right? Did we just solve this story?
An eagle, like it was just like a seagull flying past the lighthouse at night, and it was just the shadow that he saw. What year was this? 1969?
69.
It sounds like
reading some Jack Kerouac.
Yeah, puffing on that reefer, little acid, psychedelic.
It was a very well written story, but can we just chalk it up to maybe lighthouse and drugs, that one?
I mean, we don't have to just chalk it up to that. It's a possibility. I'm sure if, as a member of the Mutual UFO Society, that they have to be fact-checking some of this stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, really, weed would just like the reefer would paranoia, super paranoid.
Yeah, it started out because he's walking around. He sees this Sanskrit wood, and already the seeds planted of like, this is strange.
I mean, that is strange.
Make sense.
Yeah.
Yes. And then if it's a windy, stormy night, hearing the like some disembodied voices, and also if you're a little high
and a little tired as well, possibly a little overtired, you know, that can do it. Okay, then
it's not often that both of us agree on something.
It isn't. I mean, as soon as I heard the big cone, and the way it was described as a cone is literally like if you look at any picture and painting of a lighthouse
of a UFO,
or not a UFO, a lighthouse, like it shines out in like a cone shape, like beam, right? It starts small and then it widens out into a cone. I mean,
and then all of a sudden the light was gone just a few seconds later.
I mean,
I'm
all about this scary story. I love it, but you know, I mean, I also like to be able to discount, you know, possible real explanations to stuff as well.
The fact that they give us clues in the beginning of ways to disprove it is probably a sign.
I mean, did everyone listening go straight to the lighthouse like as soon as you hear that? But okay, so aside from that doesn't explain the silent elderly couple at the end and how that
just
whole
staring
side
off
of
into the
yeah, that whole side of the island is abandoned or something because it's haunted. So I kind of do want to know more about Block Island for that reason, and the Native American tragedy that happened there, that violent
the history there.
Yeah. The silent couple at the end, I wanted to know more about them. I thought they're like, oh, you saw them too. That's old Rhonda and Howard, who used to man the lighthouse and disappeared. And
it would be more creepy if they were like, what elderly couple? I don't see anybody. And then he turns and there's no couple sitting on the driftwood. Yeah. That would have been more like, ooh.
I mean, they're old.
Freaky.
Maybe they're just like deaf and blind. They stared at that sun a little too long.
Did not even hear the hello.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, great story. I love that. I poked all sorts of holes in it. That was a fun one. But I do want to know more about it. And I do, just what you said about the Thunderbird and the ancient languages and the idea that aliens may have come here first and then even taught language, right? Possibly, you know,
Ooh.
There's all those theories and whatnot. That actually reminded me of something that I found, an Onion article that I stumbled onto this week that I thought I shared, but I didn't. So this is now the perfect time to do it. And the title is Stoned Extraterrestrial Stumbles Across Hidden Message After Listening to Golden Record Backwards. Now,
So appropriate.
do you know what the Golden Record is?
No.
Okay. So the Golden Record, I'm going to just read you the Wikipedia entry because I'm lazy. And I'm not I kind of knew the idea, but I don't know the details. The Voyager Golden Records are 2 phonographic records that were included aboard both Voyager spacecraft launched in 1977. The records contain sounds and images selected to portray the diversity of life and culture on Earth and are intended for any intelligent extraterrestrial life form who may find them. The records are a sort of time capsule. Although neither Voyager spacecraft is heading towards any particular star, Voyager 1 will pass within 1.6 light years distance of the star Gliese 445, currently in the constellation Camelopardalis, in about 40,000 years. So 40,000 years it will pass kind of close to a star.
Did they include a record player with the records?
That is, we might be getting there. Okay, so I don't know. Carl Sagan noted that the spacecraft will be encountered and the record played only if there are advanced spacefaring civilizations in interstellar space. But the launching of this quote unquote bottle into the cosmic ocean says something very hopeful about life on this planet. Profound. In the upper left-hand corner of the record cover is a drawing of the phonograph record and the stylus carried with it. The stylus is in the correct position to play the record from the beginning. Written around it in binary notation is the correct time of the one rotation of the record. Basically, yes, I think it does. It includes instructions.
Okay, instructions on how to listen. It's not just a straight up record thrown into the universe.
Nope.
Okay,
and it is literally a golden record and it has etchings on the inside. It's like laser etched onto the inside, these diagrams of how to play it and whatnot.
Okay.
Like, I don't think you can see it through Zoom, but we can post a picture of it. Okay. So that's the idea. Alien life form encounters it, plays the record, learns about life on Earth, I guess, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So this Onion article says, stoned extraterrestrial stumbles across hidden message after listening to golden record backwards. And it says, taking long hits of euphoria plasma from his electro collider bong, stoned extraterrestrial Zogart 21X Flaxum stumbled across a hidden message Friday after listening to the Voyager 1 probe's golden record backwards. What the fuck? Said Flaxum, telling his fellow Zorlarts to come check this shit out and put their ear gills up to the speaker while he used a tendril to turn the record counterclockwise so that Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good played in reverse. There, you hear it? It's saying, kill the four blocks, children. Kill the four blocks, children. Damn, this is some spooky shit. I'm not going to be able to Zard tonight. No fucking way. At press time, the aliens had grown paranoid and were now fully convinced that some dark, malevolent entity was trying to track them down from afar. That's it. It's just so stupid.
I fucking love the Onion. I had no idea about this gold record. That's brilliant.
Yeah, there's also I don't know if they put out the naked images of a human being as well. There's another thing that has diagrams of a human. So in case anyone finds it, they'll know.
I know what this creature is. It is a humane.
And let's not forget the Tesla in space now.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I did forget about that.
Toss anything
just
up there.
Any old thing. Shit. What do we have we can toss up there? Like a SkeleTales thing?
Some ladybugs.
Some dead ladybugs. I don't think that they'll last. That radiation is rough.
Oh, damn, you're right.
More permanent. Like some crystals. Maybe.
Oh, okay. My pendulum? I can throw my pendulum up there.
Yes.
Although it's black, so it'll just blend into space.
We'll figure that out. We'll think on this.
Conundrums.
We can make our own golden record. Fuck.
For hell yeah, we can. Yeah. Well, you know what though? I still have a tape player. We can just find a cassette, hit record and play at the same time, so it records you, and then we will leave a little note, little message for the aliens out there
on a cassette tape.
On a cassette tape,
and then like have to give them a Walkman to listen to it on.
Yeah, and then like draw lots of little stick figure people and how to. God, that sounds like a lot of work.
Really complicated. I don't know if we need to do that.
Oh, Lord.
Jesus. Well, hey, listeners, if you have any suggestions about what we should launch into space, you should write them in to us at our hotbox at SkeleTalesPodcast@gmail.com. Or if you would like to call and tell us what we should launch into space, you can do that on our hotline.
302-689-DEAD, 302-689-3323. We are on social medias. We are under SkeleTales Podcast. We post some things over there. If you would like to support the show financially, we love that. Pay the bills. That is, oh my God, my brain is just completely.
If you would like to fund our golden record, no, because then we actually have to do that, right? So
that was commitment.
If you want to keep Britt from going to graveyards and collecting all the pennies off gravestones,
yes, please make me stop.
Podcast. She's got a problem.
We've got a great merch shop over there. Oh, actually, I just posted our new dream journal that we've been talking about for months and months.
Dude,
so
I had a crazy dream the other night.
Boring dreams in your journal.
And I can't remember it because I didn't write it down because I didn't have a dream journal.
You can go get one at SkeleTalesPodcast.etsy.com and I will ship it to you right away.
Heck yeah. Like, rate, review, share, tell a friend. If you see, sometimes people are like, hey, anyone have any podcast suggestions? Hey, we have a podcast suggestion for you to suggest, and it's called SkeleTales. So please do that.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, you. I have a suggestion for you, Alissa.
Okay, I'm ready.
Haunt y'all later.
Haunt you later. Good night.
Good night.